Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Ashley York. I'm the Executive Director of the Holton-Jackson County Chamber. Thank you all for taking this time with us today for this training, Facebook Shops, where we're going to learn how to sell products online. Joining us today, we also have Marianne Reeder. She's with the Washburn University Small Business Development Center. And they help businesses start, grow, transition primarily by offering free confidential general business advising. And they also support the area by offering training events and special advising services and planning, exporting, and transition. So she was a key component in organizing this training. So thank you, Marianne, for being here. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mindy Lee, the State Marketing Director with Kansas Small Business Development, or Kansas Small Business Center. Mindy, thank you for taking your time and helping us with this training today.
Oh, no problem. My name is Mindy Lee, and I am the State Marketing Manager for the Kansas Small Business Development Center. I want to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. So I'll go ahead and kind of show you a little introduction of myself. Here's my contact information. If any time after this webinar today you have any questions on anything or you want me to elaborate on anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I am more than happy to talk with you and answer your questions. Speaking of questions, we do have a Q&A chat box at the bottom of the screen. So if you just click on that Q&A section, throughout this presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the Q&A. And then at the end, we will take a little bit of time to answer as many questions as we can within our allotted time. If you happen to answer a question and we don't have time to get to it, again, feel free to email me and I'm more than happy to talk with you. So before we go ahead and get started, I want to kind of give you guys a brief roadmap of what we're going to discuss today. So first and foremost, we'll kind of do a small introduction to the Kansas Small Business Development Center for those of you who are not familiar with us. And then I'll go into kind of an introduction to Facebook Shops. Then we'll follow up with some optimization tips, as well as some pros and cons, and then we will wrap up with our Q&A. So a little about the Kansas Small Business Development Center. We are the state advising resource for the small business owner, and our mission is to increase economic prosperity in Kansas by helping entrepreneurs and small business owners start and grow their business. And we work with people from all stages of business development and business ownership. So we have clients who've been in business for upwards of 50 years, and we have clients who, maybe they just scribbled a business idea on a napkin and they come and talk to us because they don't know what their next step is. So we work with a wide range of business owners. And because we are fully funded from our partners at the U.S. Small Business Administration, the state of Kansas, higher education institutions, and other local and regional partners, we are able to offer a majority of our services at no cost to our clients. We do have a handful of fee-based projects that we can help people on, but for the most part, 99% of the time, we will be working with you at no cost if you sign up as a client, which signing up as a client is also free of charge. So here's a link to our statewide website. This is where you can go if you want to learn more about our services, any upcoming webinars we have, and it can also give you some information on how to find your nearest SBDC office. Okay, so kind of diving right into Facebook Shops. So for anybody who is familiar at all with Facebook, you've probably noticed that Facebook actually has had this shop feature for a few years now. So you might be a little confused about my first bullet point here. I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, towards the middle to end of May, that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook announced that they are rolling out Facebook Shops as if it's a new thing that they've never done before. So this caused a lot of confusion. It confused me. It confused a lot of other marketing experts that I follow, because we were all thinking, well, Facebook Shops have been out for a long time, so why are they rolling this out like it's a new thing? And from what we can kind of deduce, the first set of Facebook Shop, it just did not go well. People didn't really use it. So they've made a lot of changes. They're adding a lot of new features, and they're kind of reintroducing it during this COVID-19 pandemic as a way to help small businesses, and they're introducing it sort of like a new thing. So we kind of have a little bit of a difference between the old Facebook shops and what will be the new Facebook shops. So the big difference between the two, from what I've read about, what I've watched, one of the biggest things is that if in the old shops, when somebody wanted to purchase a product on your Facebook shop and they clicked to purchase it, it would take them outside of Facebook, and they would go to a business website, or they would go to a third-party seller like Amazon or Etsy to actually purchase the product. This new version of Facebook shops is going to offer this feature called Facebook Page Shop with Checkout. And basically what that means is that your customers can browse, select, and purchase a product all within the Facebook platform without having to leave your business page. So it makes the process pretty smooth for your customer. It makes it a lot easier for them, and it kind of incentivizes people to stay on the Facebook platform. So that's one of the big changes. Another one is that they are doing some integration with Facebook Marketplace, and I will go into that a little bit more here in a few minutes. But what we'll be talking about today is a lot of these new features and these new things they're going to be doing. And it's important to talk about them because even though most of this is in like a beta test phase now, it appears to be that over the next few months, they're going to roll it out more broadly so that more small businesses can access these features for their business page. So any business can actually have a Facebook page shop, but this feature best serves retailers. So if you're selling physical items, this is really where you get the most benefit from a Facebook shop. So some of the requirements to actually have a Facebook shop in the first place: you have to sell physical items. You can't sell anything digital. So like you can't sell like digital downloads or digital songs or anything like that. It has to be physical items that can be shipped. You have to agree with Facebook merchant terms. You have to link with a valid bank account, and you have to have a tax identification number. If you're a sole proprietor and you only have a social security number, they take that as well. And then we have this link here, and you guys will be getting a copy of this presentation. So you will have access to these slides as well as the live links in the slides. But I provide these links so that you have that supplemental information that you can have access to without me taking 2-3 hours of your day to do a really, really deep dive into all of the nuances of Facebook and Facebook shops. And again, you'll have my contact information. I'll show it again at the end of this presentation. If at any point you want to reach out and ask me any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them and to work with you, or you can ask them in the Q&A section and we can address them after the presentation. But this link actually takes you to Facebook.com's Business Help Center, and it shows you the steps you need to take to actually set up a Facebook shop. So some of the features of Facebook shops, again, most of these are in the beta phase, so you might not have access to them right now, but you will in the future, more than likely within the next 2, 3, 4 months. The first is the integration with Facebook Marketplace. This is a pretty big change from the old Facebook shops to what they're doing now. So originally, Facebook Marketplace was it's where you could go if you wanted to buy like a used couch or some used clothes. So if me as an individual, I wanted to sell a couch that I'm trying to get rid of, I could post on the Facebook Marketplace that I'm getting rid of my couch. It's $100 if you want to come pick it up. So now they're starting to integrate actual Facebook business shops with the marketplace. So if someone goes into the marketplace and they say, they're searching for, new shoes, they're wanting to buy some shoes, then their search results will show, those individual sellers who are trying to get rid of their old shoes, but it will also show results for business page shops that are also selling shoes. So they could click on that item and it gives them the option to actually go visit the business page store of that business. So it's a pretty huge change because now it gives businesses the ability to kind of push their products and get them seen by a much wider audience by getting kind of integrated into that marketplace as well as through advertising. Facebook shops are also free to set up. There are a little bit of fees involved with Facebook, of course. So they do have seller fees. So for every shipment over $8, Facebook takes 5% of that. Any shipment that's under $8, they'll take 40 cents. But setting up your Facebook shop, selling your items, that's a free process. So you can get your whole Facebook shop set up without having to spend any money. However, the reason for this is that Facebook's mostly relying on ad revenue. So they expect that businesses that are going to start trying to sell their products on Facebook are going to probably put more money into advertising. So that's what they're banking on. So that's why it's free to set up, but they expect people will be advertising more. Another feature is that the entire process can be native to Facebook. Again, another beta test, but this is that process where people can actually browse, select, and check out all within Facebook. They don't have to go outside the platform to a website or a third-party seller. That's not to say that you have to use Facebook checkout, because you don't. So if you have a website where you sell your products primarily through there and you still want to link out to that, you can do that. But for people who might not have a website, Facebook allows that ability to be able to check out with inside the platform. So it makes things a little bit easier. Facebook also will be integrating some live shopping features. So this feature allows brands and creators to actually tag products from their Facebook shop or catalog before going live on Facebook. And these products will actually be featured at the bottom of the video, so people can easily tap on it to learn more about the product or to purchase it. So if you have a new blouse in your store that you want to promote, you can select that product to promote. You can go live on Facebook with it, so you can talk about it. And while you're live streaming, talking about this product, your customers and your audience can actually see a link to that product within the video that they can click on so they can purchase that product. So right now, only a few select businesses have that ability, but it will be available more broadly over the next few months. And then lastly, they are testing out this thing called augmented reality ads. Basically, for people who might not necessarily be familiar with what augmented reality is, if you think about, I don't know how many people are familiar with Snapchat, but you can put those different filters over your face to take different videos and photos. This is going to be kind of a similar thing with Facebook ads. So let's say, for example, you are a business that's selling lipsticks and you are promoting a certain type of lipstick. So let's say you put out an advertisement for this type of lipstick, and your lipstick has 10 different colors that it comes in. So if somebody sees your advertisement for that lipstick and they are interested in it, then they can actually click on that product, and it gives them the opportunity, if you choose to integrate that within your ad. So you can choose whether or not you want to do this. But if you do actually turn on that augmented reality feature, then your customers can actually click on that lipstick ad, and then it will pull up their camera on their mobile phone, and then it will virtually put that lipstick color on their lips, so they can see what that color would look like without actually having to purchase it first. This would only work on Facebook mobile, so tablets and smartphones. You can't do this with desktop versions. That's from my understanding, that's only available on Facebook mobile. But this gives people kind of an opportunity to test things out virtually before they actually spend money purchasing them. So we have a few optimization tips for your Facebook shop. So whether you have a new Facebook shop or the old version, these can all apply to you. First, you want to make sure that your categories and collections are cleaned up and they're easy to navigate. With these new features, we're going to have if you have a lot of products on your Facebook shop, so if you're only selling like 2 or 3 things, this might not be a high priority for you. But if you're selling 20, 30, 40 things, then it's a good idea to consider categorizing and cataloging them so it's easy for people to find them. So if your shop sells hats, t-shirts, shoes, and jewelry, that right there is 4 categories. So you want to make sure that you're categorizing those products so when people come to your shop, it's more easy for them to kind of navigate and find what they're looking for. You also want to clean up your Facebook business page. So these new Facebook shop features and integrations could also lead to more traffic to your business page, especially if you're selling through there and you want to promote your products. You're going to be putting out advertisements. You're going to be driving people to that business page. So when you're having people come to your page, you want to make sure that it's optimized, that it's completely filled out. So just make sure that your about section on your business page, your username, your business information is all filled out and up to date. You also want to make sure that you have good, high quality photos of your business, especially if you're a brick and mortar business. And you also want to make sure that you have a clear profile picture that's easily recognizable. You also want to double check your address, phone numbers, emails, and you also want to make sure that you are utilizing your Facebook page effectively by posting regularly and consistently with engaging, relevant content. So don't just build up your Facebook shop, but ignore your actual business page. You want to make sure that you're posting on there regularly, you're engaging with people, you're responding to comments, in addition to updating and keeping your Facebook page, your Facebook shop, up to date. And lastly, you definitely want to familiarize yourself with Facebook advertising. So especially if you are selling within Facebook, you are more than likely going to be putting a bit more money into advertising than you have before. So you want to be familiar with how to set up a Facebook ad from beginning to end and how to run an ad campaign. This video actually, this link takes you to a YouTube video. It's about 30 minutes long, but this guy does a really great job of walking you through step by step how to set up a Facebook ad from beginning to end. So it lays it out really clear, really easy to follow. So for anybody who's not completely comfortable or familiar with Facebook advertising, I highly recommend that you watch this video. And again, you'll get a copy of this presentation, so you will have that link. If after watching it, you still have some questions or you want me to elaborate on anything, again, please feel free to reach out and I'm more than happy to talk with you. So just like with anything, there are pros and cons. So we will kind of go over a few of those with Facebook shops. Some of the pros, number one, it can increase visibility for your merchandise. Facebook as a social network has a lot of tools to expand a brand's reach and increase your business's awareness. So likes, shares, and comments can really widen your audience much faster than traditional means of advertising. And Facebook is still the #1 social media platform in the world right now. There's about 1 billion active users on Facebook every day. So it's pretty highly trafficked. A lot of people are coming on Facebook. So utilizing Facebook ads effectively can really help increase that visibility for your Facebook shop and your merchandise. Facebook shops also are already created within like a ready-made infrastructure. So Facebook already has almost everything you need for your shop. So instead of building a shop from the ground up and designing it on a website, you can just add the products and start selling. All the tools of advertising, learning more about your audience and your analytics, your promotions are all readily available and reasonably priced within one platform. It's also a good place for businesses to start who do not have an e-commerce website. So if you only sell a handful of items, or if you're thinking about starting to sell and you don't have currently a third-party account like Amazon or Etsy, or you don't have a website, Facebook shops can be a good place to start. As your business grows, you might decide to go off of that, but to get started, this can be a really good place to kind of get started and get your feet off the ground. But then, of course, in contrast with the pros, you do have the cons. So one of the biggest cons of Facebook shops is that you have to understand that, we don't own our social media profiles. We don't own our business pages. Mark Zuckerberg could wake up tomorrow and decide he's going to go off the grid. He's going to shut it all down. And if you've put all of your business information, everything about your business, your products, everything within your Facebook business page, and that gets shut down or something happens, now you have no online presence for your business. So this is where having a website can be a huge advantage for you. A website is a really great place to house all of your business information, to upload your videos, write a blog, keep FAQ pages. Like, you can do a lot with a website that you can't necessarily do with Facebook business as effectively. And it also gives you an alternative place to store all of that business information. Another thing to keep in mind with Facebook is that, and this is really with any other social media platform on the business page, With the exception of photos and the business information itself, every Facebook business page looks exactly the same. Every Instagram business page looks exactly the same. Same thing with LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest. They all look exactly the same. Having a website can really allow you the ability to customize your website. It can give you the ability to kind of really promote the feel and look of your brand, your values, your mission in a customizable format that you really can't do with Facebook business pages. So just some things to keep in mind. You're pretty restricted on what you can do visually with Facebook business pages, and you don't own that platform, whereas you can own your website. There are also product restrictions. So certain products are not actually allowed to be sold on Facebook shops. An example of that might be if you're a business that sells vitamins or supplements, you cannot sell them through Facebook. You can't sell medical devices. If you are a farmer or a rancher, you can't sell livestock or meats. If you're more of a traditional retail shop, you sell clothing and jewelry and bags and things of that nature, you're probably going to be fine. But this link here actually takes you to the policies page for e-commerce on Facebook, and it outlines for you the things that you can and cannot sell. So I do recommend taking a look at that and seeing if your business would even be able to fully utilize Facebook shops. Even if you can't sell anything on Facebook, it is still good to consider having a Facebook business page to maintain that engagement and that consistent connection with your audience, and promote items and promote sales events and things of that nature. So it's still good to have the business page itself, but maybe you're restricted from actually selling anything on there. So it's just good to kind of keep an eye out for that. And lastly, the new features of the Facebook shop could drive traffic away from your website. Again, if you don't have a website, then Facebook shops can be a really great place to start. But if you do have a website, if you primarily sell through there, if you really want to drive traffic to that website, then putting all of your products on Facebook shops could actually divert your audience from going to your website to just staying on your Facebook page, which can be a bad thing if you do have a website that you want people to come to. So it's just something to consider. If one of your goals is to drive traffic to your website, then having a Facebook shop could be a problem for you. Typically, you want it to go the other way around. You want your social media to drive traffic to your website. You don't want your social media to keep people from going to your website. So just a couple of things to kind of keep in mind there. So this is kind of a broad overview of Facebook shops. And again, there are a lot of changes that are happening, a lot of new things that are coming out. This was kind of an interesting time to do this presentation just because there's so much changing with Facebook and with Facebook shops in particular. So I wanted to kind of talk about the stuff that was coming up and what to expect and what's involved in that, just to kind of give you guys an idea of whether or not that might be a good fit for you. Again, you'll have access to all of these live links so you can learn more about these things. If you want to email me at any time, if you think of something, a week or two from now that you want to ask me about, email me. Again, we have the Q&A section down here. So if you have any questions or anything you want me to elaborate on, I'm more than happy to do that. But I tried to keep this presentation informational, but not too specific that if something major changed, then it would come to bite me in the butt for talking about it too long. So, Marianne, Ashley, do we have any questions that have come through?
We do have a couple questions, Mindy.
Okay.
One is from Helen. She said, we are a nonprofit entity, a public library. Is it possible to sell items tax exempt?
That's a really good question. I don't quote me on this. I think you can. I think that there's an extra step that would be involved with nonprofit organizations, like uploading that tax exempt form and kind of going through that extra process. I can't guarantee that that's the case, but I'm pretty sure that a nonprofit could sell through Facebook if it actually provides that tax exempt nonprofit information. Actually, I will, who was that, Helen?
Yes.
Okay. Helen, if you actually want to shoot over an email to me, I can do some more research on that and send that information to you, because I don't want to give you the wrong information. So I will, once I kind of get that figured out, I will send to you what I find out.
Great, thank you. And the next question is from Connie. She asks, how much does Facebook keep from my sales?
So they do, any sale that's over $8, they'll take 5% of that sale. If it's under $8, then they'll just take 40 cents.
Okay, great. There was a question regarding shipping. Are there discounts offered by Facebook shops?
You actually set up your shipping yourself, so you can set it so that you know, if somebody buys an order that's $30 or more, they can get free shipping. If it's under $30, you can set it for $5.99. If their shipment's going to be over a certain amount of weight, you can set that. So it's really up to the business owner what they want to set that up as, but that's actually one of the steps when you're setting up your business shop. You'll go through the Commerce Manager. That's one of the first things you'll do. And that link back here, let's see if we can find it. Yeah. So this link down here actually will kind of walk you through getting all that set up. But in the Commerce Setup section, you will be kind of figuring out those different requirements for how much you would ship items for, how much you would charge for shipping those items.
Great. So for someone who was wanting to drive traffic to their store location rather than their website, do you see any pickup in store promotions?
As in Facebook shops?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can actually, Facebook lets you promote pretty much anything within your Facebook page or your website. So you can actually, when you go to promote something, you can select if you want to promote a post, if you want to promote your Facebook business page, if you want to promote your shop or your website, and then you just fill out that information and how much money you want to put into that promotion. So my guess is with all of these new features coming out, all of this new stuff that Facebook shops are going to allow businesses to do, I'm expecting to see probably a pretty big uptick in the amount of advertisements that will be pushing those products and those shops. Whereas before, Facebook shops really weren't being used at all. And so I think that's part of the reason why they announced it as if this is a new thing when it's really not, because doing so much, they're changing so many things about it and people didn't really use it before. So my guess is, yeah, with all these new features, with all these new changes that they're coming out with, I do anticipate we will see a lot more advertisements for shops and for those products.
Very good. And Penny asks, when we sell an item, how are we notified? Is there a report at the end of the month?
So you'll actually, from what I've read, from my understanding with how this new Facebook shop is going to work, you will get a notification within your Facebook business page that someone has purchased something. And they're actually creating, it's not set up yet, but what they're going to do in the future is they're going to actually set up Facebook messaging to integrate with your Facebook shop. So when people purchase the product, not only will you get a notification about that purchase, but your customer can actually go in and they can track their order through Facebook. So they can see when their Facebook order is going to arrive. So as you're kind of going through that process of packaging up and shipping things and it gets shipped out, then you can update that on the Facebook customer profile, and then they will get a notification that it's being sent out.
Okay. Let me see here. We're getting more in the chat box, so let me see. As a follow-up on that, when you put your products in, do you list the number of each size, if it's a dress, for instance? And then does Facebook keep an update tally of how many items you have? Or is that something you have to keep track of?
So it would be it would be kept track of automatically. So it'd be the same if you put products into your, if you had like a Shopify website and you said, okay, you have 10 of a certain item and 3 of those got purchased, then it would just kind of automatically update that you have 7 of those left. Facebook would do the same thing. And yes, there is an option when you're putting a product into your shop. So let's say you're doing a t-shirt, then you have this option. I believe it's called Variety. I think that's the name, but it is an option within putting up that product that you can click on, and you can list out the different sizes available, how much of each size is available, the different colors that are available, and how much are in stock. So it does give you that option to kind of put for, one product that has a multiple different color for that or different sizes, you can actually put that in there.
Great. We're going to go back to payment and shipping. So Patrick has a question. Does the 5% include credit card merchant fees?
So if you are doing the checkout directly within Facebook, then all that's wrapped up in that 5% because you're also checking out within Facebook. If you are having them check out somewhere else, so let's say that you're sending them to your website, then in that case, you would just have to deal with your normal selling fees and charges of your website manager and not Facebook. I know that Facebook is partnering with Shopify. So if you do have a Shopify website, you can integrate that within your Facebook shop. And the seller's fee actually goes down to 2.5% instead of 5% because they've got that partnership with Shopify. But if you're having them check out within Facebook, it's that 5%. If you're having them go outside of Facebook, like to Amazon or Etsy or your website, then you wouldn't worry about Facebook fees at that point because now they're on those other platforms where those fees would apply.
Very good. So I'll wait for a few more questions to come in, but Mindy, while we're waiting for that, I just wanted to ask a question. So one thing that business owners sometimes are challenged by is maintaining an inventory count, or whether just to promote things online that are not on their floor, or that, age-old question of what if it sells at the same time in the store as it's selling online. Are there any good best practices with online sales?
So I've had a couple of clients ask me about this, and I've seen it done a few different ways. I've seen people who have actually separated their stock. So they have a certain stock for their website that they keep off the floor, and then they have their stock for on the floor, and that goes out where people coming in can actually buy it. So I've seen that. I've also seen people who will go ahead and list their full inventory on their website. And if a product gets purchased on the website, they'll just immediately go out on the floor and they will pull that so that a customer coming in can't purchase it. I have not run into an instance where there was like one product left and someone purchased it online right when someone purchased it in the store. So I've not run into that yet. If that did happen, the best thing I could probably advise you to do would be, because obviously you don't want to tell the person at the counter, like, excuse me, someone bought this online, we're going to have to take this from you. So the best thing I can think of in that situation, which I think would be a very rare situation you would actually encounter, is that in the online order, I would reach out to that customer and say that it's backlogged or it's back ordered, and you will keep them updated on when they will get their shipment. So just staying in contact with that online person during that process where you're ordering more of that inventory before you get that shipped out to them. So that's my best piece of advice for that. But I don't see that being a common thing that people run into. Typically you'll just take that item off the shelf, or you can separate your stock out from what will be online versus what will actually be on the floor.
Great. Penny asks, is there a sales report at the end of the week or month?
With Facebook Shops, I do believe you can actually export your own sales report. So you can kind of get a good compilation of of what's been sold, how much it was sold for. I don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% just kind of off the cuff, but I can definitely find that information out for you. So when if you want to shoot me an email with that question, I can definitely find that information for you and let you know kind of what that process is.
Okay, great, Penny. We encourage you to follow up with an email to Mindy on that. So, and the next question is, does Facebook offer a merchant account?
Yeah, so with Facebook, yeah, you have your merchant account, which is, it's within your business management account. It's this, if you have a business Facebook page, then you at least have like a business manager account. If you're adding on the shop, the e-commerce side, then that's where you'll get the additional merchant account. So that's where you'll keep all of that information kind of separate from your business page. Again, there's so much changing, so much stuff updating right now that on the old Facebook shops, I don't believe they had that. And I think with the new ones, they are going to be having that merchant account. But I'll have to kind of double check into that just to make sure. Because again, this new stuff just launched a couple weeks ago, and everything I've looked at on this, there have been so many people with so many questions because a lot of people are so confused going on and what's coming. So I don't want to give anyone the wrong information, but my instincts tell me that's the case. But again, I can definitely find that information out for you.
Great. Connie asks, I am new to Facebook selling. Oh, this may be a dumb question, she says, but I don't think there are any. That's because everybody's new to this. It says, do we get a 1099 at the end of the year for our sales?
That is a really good question. You know, I don't know. That's a very good question. And now I'm going to go look it up because I'm very curious. Because I have not seen anything about that so far, but yeah, I don't know if that's automatically generated or if you just kind of have to take your sales reports and figure it out yourself. I'm not really sure how that works, but I'm definitely going to look it up now because that is interesting. That's
great. And Connie will encourage you to email Mindy directly on that as a follow-up as well. Okay, let's see. Do you know what point of sale Facebook partners with? We use Square.
So I think when you have the actual checkout within Facebook, it's their own program. I have not seen anything about them partnering with anybody for their own native checkout system. I know for external checkout or even internal checkout, they do partner with Shopify on that, but I have not seen anything about Square so far. I believe the Facebook checkout within their own platform is kind of their own thing, but I have not seen anything about Square. I've just seen that they have partnered with Shopify. And in that case, if you connect your Shopify account with your Facebook shop, then you kind of get that reduced seller's fee. But other than that, I have not seen anything about that.
Donna wonders, will you be adding the Q&A to the email to us so we'll have them to review? Thanks again for the presentation. It's great.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We can definitely add the Q&A. You'll also get a copy of these slides. And I will be actually uploading the video of this presentation. So we're recording this actually. So we will upload it to our YouTube channel, and I will send you guys the link to that video as well. So you can rewatch this as many times as you can stand to listen to my voice.
I don't see any more, many notes of thanks. I don't see any more questions, so let's have just a couple of minutes. Ashley, did you have any questions?
I do not, but this was very, very helpful, and thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no problem. I probably will be, I don't know when, it will be probably later this year. I'm actually going to be updating this presentation once we get more information on, you know, when they're coming out of the beta test phase with these new features and if there's anything that's been changed or updated. It's just, this has been so recent that they've done this that there are a lot of questions up in the air about it, but I am going to be keeping an eye on all of this stuff, and I will probably later this year update this presentation with more in-depth information about kind of what's been going on, what changes are happening. So you guys might hear from me here in a few months again to redo this. So
Great.
You know, I just thought of a question. I'm sorry.
oh, you're fine.
Okay, so as a shopper or potential customer, I mean, is everything just going to be on their business page, like on their regular Facebook page?
Yeah, so they will, on the Facebook business page, on the left-hand side where you have all those different tabs,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have a shop tab, so you can click on that. There's also,
Okay.
for the people with the business page, they can feature certain items in their shop so that when you go to just their basic Facebook business page, you can see some of those featured items and you can access the shop through that. But at the very least, there will be a tab on the left-hand side that says shop, and then you can click on that and it will take you to that shop. Also, since they're starting to kind of integrate this new Facebook shop feature within the marketplace, you might also see shops through the Facebook marketplace as well, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a really good thing for businesses because it's even more people getting to see their products and their merchandise through the marketplace, which before they did not have that opportunity. So you could see it, you'll see it in those two places, and you'll probably also see it on your news feed when those ads start kind of pumping up a bit more.
Mindy, there's one more. Are you emailing us all the links you've shown in the webinar?
Yeah, so you'll actually get a PDF copy of this presentation, and all the links will be clickable. So you'll be able to click on any of the links and it will take you to the videos or the web pages that I mentioned.
Great.
And then you'll also get a video copy of it too. So.
Great. Are there any other online selling opportunities, educational opportunities available?
This in regards to Facebook, there are some people who are kind of doing, there are full YouTube videos where you can kind of watch people set up a Facebook shop from beginning to end, but a lot of these came out before the announcement, which is still okay because the actual process of just setting up your Facebook shop is going to be pretty similar, but with the new changes, there are going to be some different things that you'll have to fill out as far as the commerce side is concerned. So there are some videos for that, but there's also there's a woman I watched her the other day. She's one of those marketing experts that I like to follow on YouTube, and she actually goes through the process of setting up her Facebook shop, kind of walking step by step with the new stuff. So I can actually input that link into the email when I send out a copy of this to everybody, so you guys will be able to actually watch that. But there are training sessions on that. And if you're looking for something outside of Facebook, so if you're looking for Shopify or you know, Wix or WooCommerce or any other place that you're wanting to sell online, we do have resources for that as well that I can send you. So again, just shoot an email to me, and if you want to learn more about online selling through platforms outside of Facebook, I can definitely send you resources for that.
Thank you. I think that concludes our question and answer. I think you've answered everything, Mindy.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time today and sharing your expertise and making yourself available ongoing.
Not a problem.
Great. Ashley, anything else?
No, I don't have anything.
Great. I think we can close then.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for attending.